Grand Rising, everyone. I am so excited to be back. I know it's only been a week, but I feel like I have so much to report on. So, thank you guys so much for being here. I want to welcome each and every single one of you to my live stream. I also want to extend gratitude for my moderators. Thank you guys so much for keeping the chat in a high vibe. I hope all of you guys had a beautiful Thanksgiving yesterday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, right? I lose track of time. Today is the 29th of November. And yes, my friends, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory, especially with what I'm going to be reporting today. I'm going to be covering the Trump UAPs and the coming disclosure shockwave and why the vault door is finally creaking. Also, the Trump Putin coordination regarding achieving or reaching the space age before communist China does or wants to weaponize it. So this is all part of what's happening right now from behind the scenes to propel our Earth into a Type 1 interplanetary space age civilization. We're going to be going over the unspoken truth and why disclosure has been delayed for decades. Not to mention the Trump-Putin alliance for disclosure and how it relates to 3i Atlas, which is triggering the final phase of the Earth's liberation. And of course, the Jupiter commands approval after the Earth, due to the Earth's ending of the 13,000 year cycle. And not to mention how Putin and Trump are reshaping Ukraine in order to trigger the global disclosure of Tartaria, Atlantis, and Earth's erased civilizations. This is all part of the agenda as we are heading into a new Earth reality. And finally, but not least, I'm also going to be covering the rapture, the harvest, and how that relates to the coming timeline split and the multi-dimensional Earth reality. So yeah, I'm going to be covering a lot today. I'm so excited to be here once again with the Galactic Jedis, the Freedom Fighters. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I also wanted to let you guys know that my January classes, for those that couldn't make my December classes, are up for grab. Now, I decided to change it up a little bit. Instead of being with me for 4 consecutive weekends, 1 hour each, we're going to only do 2 weekends, 2 hours each. So class or my course is only for 2 weekends, okay? 2 hours each, 4 hours, either on a Saturday or Sunday. Make sure you go to my website or cosmicorigin.com and secure your spot for my January classes. And as a reminder, again, I will be attending and presenting at the Conscious Life Expo this coming February. The link is always in the description. If you guys do plan on going to the Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo, make sure that you guys go through my link so that I could get credit for it. And with no further ado, I guess I could get right into it. Oh, really quick, for all my new subscribers, thank you guys so much for being a part of the Galactic Jedi family here. I am the author of those amazing books behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, Restoring Galactic History Back to the Earth. Now, for all my new subscribers, I am a cosmic ambassador, and my gift is I am able to access the intergalactic archives to restore information that was, again, taken away from the Earth during the times of Atlantis, especially now that we are heading into once again, into the 7th golden age of enlightenment. So my gift is to access information that is related to what's happening in other planets all throughout the galaxy, universe, and multiverse. Okay, with that in mind, now I could get right into it. All right, so apparently, guys, there's been a new wave of reports that are suggesting that something extraordinary is brewing from behind the scenes. Donald Trump has intensified his interest in UAP files and is actually preparing to declassify materials that past administrations buried for decades. So I've always kind of believed that not only is Trump the disruptor of the old system, but he's also the president that will bring us into the space era, especially with Space Force, right? Bringing forth the disclosure. And here is the evidence. So according to Radar's online sources. Trump isn't just asking casual questions. He's actually ramping up pressure. He's demanding access, and he's increasingly frustrated with the layers of secrecy surrounding the non-human technology, the radar tracks, the pilot encounters, and the crash retrieval analysis that have been wailed off from the public since the 1940s. Yeah, this goes way before Roswell, okay, since the 1940s. Um, let's continue. Behind closed doors, insiders are saying that Trump's position is very simple because Americans have the right to know, okay, according to Trump. And he's true, right? So this time, his timing isn't random, okay? The renewed push is aligning perfectly with multiple catalysts converging at once. And a lot of this has to do with Dan Farah's new Age of Disclosure documentary that was just released about a week ago. And so this film has, I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but this film has reignited global curiosity, amplifying the whistleblower testimonies and stressing that humanity is at the edge of a paradigm shift reveal. So recent UFO hearings in Congress. Lawmakers are openly accusing the Pentagon of hiding crash retrieval programs for a long time, illegal declassification data, and stonewalling UAP oversight. Well, this is no longer whispers, my friends, okay? It's on the congressional record. So, former insiders like David Grush, Ryan Graves, and numerous unnamed DoD personnel are now openly testifying on camera that was unthinkable just a few years ago. So the Pentagon has already admitted that the UFOs are real and that their behavior apparently defies our understanding of physics. Instant acceleration, for example, transmedium travel, right, capable of going in the water, off the water, and back into the air, right, adapting quickly, gravitational warping, and of course, the denial phase is now over. Why? Well, here's the evidence. Because um, the public demand is at an all-time high. Okay, millions are no longer satisfied with carefully staged military videos or slow-rolled admissions. They want the truth, and so, in short, Congress is already in a disclosure knife fight, and Trump sees an opening. So Trump's interest in this topic isn't new. It is actually consistent. He teased Roswell. He talked about Roswell, right? He hinted at very interesting things in the archives. He made right comments that sounded like jokes, but presidents don't make jokes about classified vaults. So Trump has always spoken like someone who saw something, but wasn't allowed to say no more or to say anything. Okay. Well, what's different now is that Trump is not asking questions anymore. He's actually pressing, okay? And he's filtering the answers through the lens of public interest, not bureaucratic caution. So this aligns perfectly with Trump's political persona, the outsider willing to kick down the doors in Washington that has kept locked all of this information for over 70 years. So, why disclosure has been delayed for decades is the question, right? Well, most people assume that the UFO secrecy is because the truth would shock the world, right? People aren't ready for this type of knowledge and information. Well, now we are, okay? So, but insiders are also saying that the real reason is far more grounded and far more dangerous. So, what that means is that you can't really show the world a craft that bends physics without revealing how you tracked it. Think about it, okay? Which exposes a whole new different level of technology that is almost 1,000 years of the general public, right? Surveillance systems that we have no access to, radar frequency signatures, and of course, satellite capabilities that operate on other dimensions, sensor blind spots as well, and space-based tracking methods, which again, a lot of this technology our own government has had for over 70 years. So if adversaries knew what we can't see, that would be catastrophic, according to some insiders, right? So disclosure hasn't always been blocked by aliens. It's been blocked by national security, the NSA. And if you guys remembered my presentation 2 weeks ago that was actually taken down, who is at the highest levels of the NSA? That's right, the ACIO, the Advanced Contact of Intelligence Organization. Now, this is where we're getting into cosmic clearance, okay? So they have been blocking disclosure more than anything. And so even presidents haven't been fully briefed about everything. Again, there are 36 levels above the president. So now, okay, Trump is moving forward, and that's going to change everything overnight, my friends. Okay, this is a presidential level push unlike anything before. And why? Well, because the executive branch can override compartmentalized barriers that have existed since the Cold War. So that means that if Trump declassifies even one fraction of the vault, a photo, a metallurgy sample, a radar event, or even a recovered fragment, well, the entire global conversation resets instantly, okay? Because that would force every intelligence agency on Earth to respond. It would also force the Pentagon to disclose more of what they know. It will also ignite global cooperation, not panic as they thought, okay? And of course, it would also confirm decades of whistleblower claims and legitimize future hearings. And more importantly, end the stigma permanently. And this would be the Roswell moment that never came, okay? So there are some additional signs that the vault of disclosure is truly beginning to open now. And that is the atmosphere around disclosure is accelerating. I've already mentioned Anna Paulina Luna is a big part of that. Not slowing down, and it's being supported by indicators that include, are you guys ready for this? Multiple allied nations that have began soft disclosure. And again, a lot of this has to do with Three Eye Atlas and what they are transmitting to the Earth governments. So we have Japan jumping on board. We have Canada, Brazil, Italy, Mexico, and France that have released military encounters. So this is not just a national event. This is a global event, okay? NASA formed its first official UAP panel. Well, we never thought that would happen, right? NASA, nothing but a bunch of lies, not a straight answer, I mean. And now, because again, the alliance is infiltrating these organizations, including NASA, they are now officially forming their first official UAP panel. And this is something that NASA has never done. And quite frankly, I thought that they were never going to do. But it turns out that the alliance has infiltrated these organizations. So something that they dismissed entirely for 50 years is now going to be discussed. Okay, so, and that also includes the 2025 NDAA that contains aggressive language on UAP transparency, including forced release of legacy programs and reverse engineered assets. Non-human biologics is all going to be made public as a result of this panel hearing. And the phrase alone shows how much things are heading towards a positive timeline trajectory. Not to mention the classified legacy crash retrieval program leaks, including skunk works, aerospace contractors, unacknowledged SAPs, and the narrative is apparently going to shift as a result of this. And even the CIA, my friends, the three-letter agency that was once a counter coup run by the deep state, has already began selectively declassifying old UFO documents, which is a sign that they are preparing the public psychologically, okay? And all of these threads are converging on one truth, that disclosure is inevitable, that the dam is cracking, okay? The vaults are opening. So, regardless of political preferences, the momentum is undeniable, okay? The old model of deny, ridicule, bury the evidence no longer is working, my friends. right? Especially because Three Eye Atlas is transmitting the signals to the Earth governments that they have till March of 2026 to reveal everything to the public. Okay, so the old model that has been ridiculed for quite some time, the many insiders that were silenced, too much evidence exists, right? Too many nations already know. Too many people have camera phones. Too many pilots are going public. Trump is going to trigger the reveal. Okay, this is all being set up from behind the scenes. It's happening right now as I speak because Congress, whistleblowers, international leaks are part of, are all, you could say, being influenced by the Earth Alliance to bring forth the full disclosure, right? And not just drip drops. So this is going to change everything. Okay. It's all heading towards transparency. And so the fact that a sitting president right now is again leaning hard into a UAP secret tells us everything. Okay. The old world is dying, the veils are thinning, the vault door is cracking open, and we're not waiting for disclosure anymore. We are living in the early stages of it, my friends. We are at the precipice of becoming a type 1 interplanetary civilization between now and 2028. Because by 2028, as I mentioned, this current reality construct comes to an end. Okay, so something needs to happen before then. And so, and again, it's all going to start in March of 2026. Well, they have till March of 2026 to begin public exposures or public disclosures. So let's talk a little bit about the Trump Alliance for Disclosure, right? Because of the fact that there is a race right now taking place between us and Russia, and of course China. Because if you think about it this way, if disclosure comes from the Chinese Communist Party first, they're going to weaponize it. Okay, they're going to weaponize the space era, and we don't want that. So that's why it is important that the Trump alliance exceeds, all right, and accomplishes this task before the Chinese Communist Party do through Space Force. Okay, so as many of you guys know, for decades, disclosure has been treated as a political, you could say, theater, right? It's been weaponized, it's been delayed and stalled by intelligence agencies, corrupt intelligence agencies, who are working in tandem with corrupt ET factions and, of course, transnational organizations that are associated with the cabal, right? Who have feared the collapse of their old global power structure. Well, it's inevitable now because that's also collapsing. And so by now, everything is going to be changing. A new alignment has formed both on Earth and beyond because President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin, two leaders that the deep state attempted to demonize and isolate, are now coordinated behind the scenes to bring disclosure forward before communist China weaponizes it for global domination. All right. So the Chinese Communist Party has their version of disclosure, right? They have their agenda regarding the race, the space race, and so do we. Okay, so this alliance is not just arising from politics alone. It was actually triggered by something greater, which is what? The arrival of Three Eye Atlas, right? And in case you didn't know, there is a portion of Starlink that is working with the government, right? That is actually receiving the transmissions from Three Eye Atlas, along with other governments. And Three Eye Atlas has been transmitting messages in the last 3 months. And so this is why this is happening, okay? And so we have to understand that these higher councils beyond the earth, um, in their perception, the momentum has already shifted, okay? So according to Commander Valiant Thor, classified leaks and testimonies from off-world alliance liaisons, members of the Jupiter Command, have officially approved Solar Warden's long-standing request to end planetary slavery on Earth. Very important, guys. And this is why the Trump Putin alliance, as far as leading the race towards the space age before communist China, has to happen. Okay. So the cosmic clock has apparently struck. The race towards the space age has begun. And Space Force is leading the way, thanks to the alliance. So when 3i Atlas entered the inner regions of our solar system, it did more than just shock astronomers, okay? It actually activated ancient protocols that were encoded in the architecture of the Milky Way. According to transmissions from the Lyran High Council and corroborated by leaked ACIO briefings, ACIO, the highest level of the National Security Agency, right? Cosmic level clearance briefings, ACIO. It's just sad that they deleted my presentation on them 2 weeks ago, but I think I'm going to try to redo it again another time. But, anyways, according to briefings of the ACIO, in collaboration with the transmissions coming from the Lyran High Councils, Atlas is not alien, right? It's human. I've already revealed it. It is us from 200,000 years in the future, right? When humanity evolves into a type 3 intergalactic civilization. So its arrival has served as a cosmic recall beacon, not just an emissary making an assessment, marking the moment that the Earth is officially exiting its quarantine status. In other words, Earth is becoming galactic again. And in its presence, it has triggered 3 major events. Okay. The first one is a cascading collapsing of the corrupt Galactic Federation factions that were infiltrated by Enki, the Anunnaki, and the Atorians, the synthetic race known as the Animus, where Solar Warden and Atlas were coordinated to remove their strongholds all the way from Sirius B, Zeta Reticula 1 and 2, and several nodes in the system or the areas of Orion. A signal to the Jupiter command that the Earth's timeline was stabilizing in favor of organic source aligned humanity. All right, that's good. A directive that was authorizing Solar Warden to initiate the final phase, which is the dismantling of the Earth's hidden slavery grids. And as mentioned in my live a week and a half ago, Solar Warden has been petitioning the Jupiter command for over a decade now to bring about the liberation of the Earth. Okay, so the Jupiter command has approved. Okay, and this finalizes all of the accords, the Jupiter Accords, ending Earth's 13,000-year enslavement cycle since we fell from Atlantis. So, as many of you guys know, for thousands of years, Earth has been under the influence of negative off-world powers when the reptilian Anunnaki, draconian to be exact, took over the affairs of our world, right? Both physically and interdimensionally. And ever since then, of course, they were manipulating human consciousness through organized religion, through DNA, through history and world leadership, right? Well, some factions of the previous AT Federation covertly enforced these systems through frequency fences, artificial reincarnation loops, memory wipes, soul harvesting technologies, and political infiltration. But beginning in the late 2023, a request long held by Solar Warden was finally approved. Thank God. Authorization was granted, guys. The Earth enslavement mechanism may now be dissolved. Jupiter Command Transmission 5X-RHO. So this approval came only after Atlas confirmed the success of the timeline split and the collapsing of the AI infiltration signal, the Mitra frequency, that once threatened the entire Milky Way. According to Commander Valiant Thor, Jupiter's command's approval opened the way for direct coordination with the Earth Alliance leaders, Trump and Putin mainly, and certain high-ranking military figures inside U.S. Space Force, Russian Aerospace Forces, and even covert Indian and Japanese star security divisions. Okay, so this is setting the stage for the next phase, which is to bring about disclosure that will again allow the Earth to enter the space age, the surface world rather, the surface world to enter the space age. So this is a coordination that is happening right now by Trump and Putin, right? Because they have to make sure that they bring about this information before communist China weaponizes it. Okay, this is a race for the space era, my friends. So both Trump and Putin understand that a hidden truth that most world leaders are that pretend to not know, and that is that disclosure is the ultimate weapon in modern geopolitics, which will in turn end the old world order, the old world structure of depending on fossil fuels, petroleum, chemicals, combustion, plants, etc., etc. So whoever controls the narrative of extraterrestrial contact, ancient civilizations, and humanity's cosmic origin, which I've already kind of broke the iceberg by publishing this book. For those that have read this book, Our Cosmic Origin, you are ahead of the game. Well, anyways, going back to this. So, whoever controls the narrative of extraterrestrial contact, ancient civilizations, humanity's cosmic origin will control global political legitimacy, future space treaties, access to quantum energy systems, off world mining rights, and the psychological foundation of the new interplanetary civilization. Well, China has been attempting to get ahead, communist China, not the Republic of China, two different things. Communist China has been attempting to get ahead of this curve. Their secret space directive, controlled by the red technocracy, has been preparing a false disclosure event, presenting themselves as the rightful heirs of the galactic future. Okay, this is something that we want to prevent. So, Trump and Putin, on the other hand, are now working together through back channeled Earth alliance structures to release real disclosure first, grounded in truth rather than authoritarian control. And according to a leaked Russian military document and US insider communications, Putin has already been or has already full knowledge of the hyperdimensional solar system and the presence of the 46 planets in the higher bands. Okay. Trump has already ongoing briefings with Solar Warden, the real Trump, not the clone, not the actor, definitely not Omega Trump, Omega Dash 3 4.0, I think, for those who watch that live. So Trump has already ongoing briefings with Solar Warden operatives and Earth Alliance officers about Atlas transmissions. And also, both leaders, Putin and Trump, have agreed that disclosure must come from a freedom oriented alliance, not a technocratic authoritarian state. And this is why the deep state tried so hard to remove both leaders. This is why the media hysteria never stopped. And this is why world events have seemed chaotic on the surface, because the old guard fears the inevitable. And that is the era of the space age, which has officially began from behind the scenes. The establishment of the US Space Force back in 2019, it wasn't just political theater. It was actually a directive driven preparation for humanity's transition into the interstellar age. Space Force is now integrating Solar Warden's intel into surface programs, coordinating with Japanese and Indian space alliances. They are also reverse engineering abandoned Draco and corporate fleet technologies that they were able to recuperate in Antarctica. Also, Space Force in the alliance is also preparing public infrastructure for off-world travel. So yes, guys, we're going to be eventually traveling to other planets, right? This is happening in the next few years. It's starting in the next few months, right? With the revelations, the disclosures of all of this hidden information. Also, the alliance is creating future frameworks for extraterrestrial diplomacy. And so the classified side of Space Force already has deployed small anti-gravity craft, has already been utilizing quantum temporal communication. Again, a big part of Starlink, right? Elon Musk space satellites that are the best internet service, I hear. A big part of that is working with the alliance. It's working with the uncorrupt faction of the U.S. government, the White Hats. Also, they are monitoring hyperdimensional activity. They're also tracking the Atlas Echo, which is a quantum resonance field confirming its future human origin, coming from Aurelius Prime, Earth relocated at the center of our galaxy 200,000 years from now. So the unspoken truth, guys, is that we are already a multiplanetary species. We are merely waiting for the public announcement. That's all we're waiting for, okay? And now with the Jupiter Command's approval and the Atlas indicator active, nothing can stop the forward motion of mankind into the space era. For instance, three factions are racing towards disclosure, okay? The first one is the alliance, which is Trump, Putin, the Republic of China, not Communist China, the Solar Warden, the Jupiter Command, and Space Force. And they are seeking a free, sovereign, cosmic civilization. All right. The second part, or the second group, is the communist technocracy, the Chinese red technocrats, as they are known, the insiders. The communist technocracy is also pushing for disclosure so that they could weaponize and control the space era. And they are seeking control through advanced AI systems, right? China is the first one to fall into the beast or be influenced by Omega Ahriman, right? Building the technocratic dystopia. And if you don't believe me, just go to China. They have AI everywhere, face recognition. I mean, that thing is just, bots on the streets following people where they go and just monitoring everything. They also wanted to centrally manage the Galactic Empire, right? China is apparently working with the negative and AA, and they have been, communist China, that is, and the remnants of the old cabal, which have aligned now with communist China because they are collapsing. And so they are only seeking to survive the storm right now. Whereas the alliance must move first. Okay. And according to channeled information, or let's just call them the archives of the Jupiter Command, because again, I don't channel, I get transmissions. The alliance will win in the space age, okay? In the space, leading us into the space age. They will win, okay? So the arrival of the second Atlas object, did I just mention that? There is a second one, recently detected near the Kuiper Belt, right, has accelerated the timeline even further. So there is now a second object. And I don't think astronomers have named it yet, but again, this is what's coming through right now, okay? Disclosure will not be a single event. It will be a cascade, and the world is about to wake up with Trump and Putin. So Trump and Putin are not simply political allies. They are key terrestrial representatives of the Earth Alliance, working to align humanity with the benevolent cosmic forces, preparing Earth for her ascension into the interstellar community. Solar Warden is ready. The Jupiter Command has approved it. Atlas has arrived. And now we have a second interstellar object that is now coming in through the Kuiper Belt. Space Force is preparing the surface world. And now the greatest revelation in the history of the Earth is approaching faster than ever. So disclosure is no longer a question of if, it is only a question of who speaks first now, okay? There is an arms race for disclosure. It's either going to happen through communist China first, which I don't think it's going to be that, or it's going to be happening through us, right? The alliance. And I believe that the alliance is ahead, according to this report. So, in addition to all of this, my friends, and a lot of this also ties in very well with the disclosure of UAPs, reverse engineered craft, alliances with extraterrestrials, advanced technologies, is also the revelation of other civilizations like Tartaria, Atlantis. Okay. Right now, as I speak, a lot of people ask me about Tartaria. Well, this is all part of the disclosure, right? Right now, as I speak, there is a huge push that is happening from behind the scenes with Putin. It is going to be started with Putin, but then Trump is going to follow his heat. his lead on this one, and that is the revelation and disclosure of Tartaria. All right, I believe Putin was able to save those archives from uh, I guess, extraction, right? Because we in the West, we completely erased every record, right? I think the Vatican was the one that was holding these records. Well, it turns out that the Russian Federation also had access to these records in their full documentation, their full form. Tartaria, Atlantis, and all of the Earth's erased civilizations. This is huge, guys. Okay, this is huge. This is going to put an end to the fundamentalist belief that we've only been here for 6,000 years. Anyways, okay, so right now, as I speak, part of the disclosure race is that Trump and Putin together are being guided by classified briefings from the alliance. They are orchestrating a quiet historic shift that will only end the NATO expansion agenda, but also open the door to the most explosive historical disclosure in human history, the real history of the earth. That is huge, guys. Okay, that is huge. The revelation of Tartaria is already in progress in Russia. Okay, and that will also lead to the revelation of Atlantis, which is no longer a myth. All right, it is going to be a fact. Okay, and every advanced civilization that was erased from the Earth's official timeline, including the Cathars of France. The Cathars of France were very advanced, right? Well, what is happening in Ukraine is not a regional conflict, okay? It is the final battlefield of a centuries long information war. Think about it, okay? Ukraine, the final lock of the cabal's control grid, Ukraine has been a centerpiece of deep state operations for decades. Money laundering, biolabs, proxy wars, NATO expansion, blackmail networks, and most importantly, the suppression of archaeological evidence that would unravel the false history that we've been taught. Okay? That's huge. According to Earth Alliance intelligence, in 2022, well, between 2022 and 23, the cabal attempted to maintain its grip on Ukraine by keeping its place in its synthetic managed version of President Zelensky, the actor. Okay. But that version, used for messaging, propaganda, and international manipulation, was neutralized during a covert joint operation between the US military intelligence factions loyal to Trump and the White Hats, the Russian Federation Special Operations, and alliance aligned covert units that were operating under Space Force directives. Okay, well, once the cabal controlled the negative Zelensky, right, the version that we've come to know, apparently was removed, my friends. Okay, I think I mentioned this before. And this is the reason why, a few weeks ago, he was on the run. Well, it's not that he was on the run, he was taken out. All right. The White Hat replacement, which is going to end the war with Russia, finally, they only have like 48 days, I believe. No, not even that. I think 2 months. Okay. Sometime in January, I believe, third week of January. It's when that war is supposed to come to an end because of the replacement. Okay. The White Hat replacement was installed. Zelensky 3.0, one aligned with the larger planetary transition. Okay. Well, this shift broke the cabal's hold on Ukraine and enabled Putin to move forward with a resolution that would secure Russia's borders and NATO's eastward expansion, prevent Ukraine from being used as a staging ground for global war, and to begin assessing the sealed archives beneath the Ukrainian soil. Now, why do they want to access the sealed archives that were, again, buried beneath Ukrainian soil? Well, because underneath the geopolitical conflict lies something far more important, my friends. Evidence of Tartaria. Evidence of Tartaria, okay? Russian has protected history. The Russian Federation has protected history while the West has erased it, thanks to the Vatican control of the West, right? The cabal. Well, the Russian Federation has long been aware that the Earth's true history did not begin with Egypt, did not begin with Sumer, or Babylon, okay? Putin and the Russian Academy of Sciences hold materials that the West has tried to erase over the last 150 years. They have maps of Tartarian cities, the Tartarian Empire civilization city, stretching across Eurasia. They have records of free energy architecture that was used in ancient Russian cathedrals by the Tartarians, towers, and even star forts. Apparently, they were a Type 1 interplanetary civilization. Again, breakaway groups have always existed, right? A good portion of the Tartarians just broke away and went off to other solar systems, while the rest of them sunk in a mudslide that was triggered by the cabal. Also, genome studies showing the spread of high civilizations predating Rome and Greece. All of that evidence is coming, okay? Atlantean era remnants from beneath the Siberian permafrost, Siberian permafrost. Ancient Slavic Vedic records that tie to the Hyperborean lineage are also going to be unearthed, and megalithic structures predating the last ice age, as well as pre-flood archives that were secured by Russian monks during medieval purges. And who was conducting the medieval purges, right? Who was in charge of the Dark Ages, or who launched the Dark Ages? Well, for those that have read my book, The Secret Government, the Vatican, right? The apostate Roman Catholic Church, the imitation Christian church that was run by Satan this whole time. They were the ones that threw us into the Dark Ages, while the Russian monks were preserving a lot of this information. Well, when Western institutions like the Vatican factions, European royal houses, Jesuit activists, and even later the cabal intelligence networks were erasing history, Russia was preserving it. Think about that, guys. Okay. And this is why I love Putin. I'm sorry, but him and Trump are working together. Okay. And Ukraine is the missing puzzle piece, by the way. So, for instance, beneath the soil of Crimea, Kherson, and eastern Ukraine lies. Are you guys ready for this? And the only way we could have access to this is if Putin gets some of those lands back, okay? Because some of those lands that the cabal, through Zelensky 2.0, were holding have evidence of Tartarian star cities. Again, Tartaria was a Type 1 interplanetary civilization. The evidence is coming thanks to Russia. Also, pre-flood fortresses are under Ukraine, energy vortex temples, evidence of ancient giant races. That's another topic for another live. People always ask me about the giants. Well, there are different categories of giants. Also, fossilized remnants of Atlantean outpost and sealed vaults containing metallic manuscripts from previous solar cycles. Okay, and this is why it's important that Putin gets a lot of that land back. Okay, so Putin has always known this. Okay, Trump has always known this. The alliance has always known this. And this is why Ukraine became the chessboard in the 21st century. Trump's return to real power, okay, because he was CIC even during the interval of 2020 and 2024. He has recognized, he has been recognized by the Earth Alliance and off-world partners and has shifted the global timeline. Trump has been briefed since the early 2000s. For those that didn't know, since 1999, the end of 1999, right around the time that he started hanging out with, what's his name? Jeffrey, right? Mossad. Trump was already being briefed by the alliance, okay, since 1999, 2000. way before 2016. Okay. Trump was briefed on Atlantis. He was briefed on pre flood civilizations, the original Hyperborean Earth, the 12,000-year cataclysm cycles, and he was even told about the Tartarian architectural energy grids that are still visible across the world. So Trump understands that disclosure is not only about extraterrestrials, okay? It is about erased history. It is about the true history of the Earth. It's not just about UAPs, okay, and free energy and med beds. It's about the true history of the Earth. And this is why Trump has supported Russia's mission to secure the ancient sites in eastern Ukraine and prevent NATO from cementing control over them. NATO's expansion was never about security, all right? Let's be real. It was designed to, NATO's expansion, it was designed to what? Block access to Tartarian sites, right? Destroy ancient megalithic structures, steal architectural materials. Thank you for the water. And ensure that the world never learned the truth about Earth's real history and civilizations. Well, now that the White Hats have replaced the cabal-controlled leadership of Ukraine, the alliance is orchestrating a peaceful resolution. With NATO's expansion halted, the real mission begins now, okay? And that is the opening of the vaults that contain evidence of erased human history. The coming disclosure of Tartaria and the world before the reset. Before the reset, think about that. How many times have these dark forces resetted our civilization, or at least made us believe? They tried it multiple times, as revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, right? They tried it in 32 BC with the Tower of Babel. And even before that, 6,000 years ago, they tried, and they're still teaching us through religion that we've only been here for 6,000 years. It's pathetic how many times they tried to reset history. And then most recently, 250 years ago or 300 years ago with Tartaria. Okay. So when Putin finalizes his objective in Ukraine, supported by Trump and the Earth Alliance, it will lead to the release of materials long protected within the Russian secret archives. And that includes, my friends, the Tartarian Empire records, all of them, okay? Providing a Eurasian civilization with wireless energy, or proving the existence of a Eurasian, right? Because it encompassed all of Asia and Europe, all right? With wireless energy, advanced architecture, and global trade that existed as recently as the 1800s. This is huge, okay? Also, maps of the pre-mud flood world of what the Earth really looked like before the mud floods destroyed Tartaria, okay? Showing cities, transport systems, and even buildings that were erased by engineered cataclysms. And yes, my friends, these mud floods, these cataclysms that destroyed Tartaria were initiated by the Draconians, the negative ETs, okay? So also, there's going to be records of the reset events. So they're gonna disclose all the records of every time they tried to reset civilization, okay? Of all the reset events, detailing the previous global resets and how the cabal usurped power afterwards. And that includes evidence of the inner Earth entrances recorded in the Tsarist archives, as they call them in the Russian Federation, the Tsarist archives. Hyperborean civilization will be revealed, and of course, the Arctic civilizations that were connected to Lemuria and Atlantis. Of course, Atlantean artifacts that were recovered from the Black Sea, from Crimea and the Mediterranean basins. Also, ancient technologies, right? Starfort energy grids, magneto-etheric systems, atmospheric towers, healing domes, and antediluvial biomagnification devices. Wow, all of that stuff's going to be uncovered. Antediluvian, which is pre-flood. For those who don't know what antediluvial means, pre-flood, biomagnification devices. All right, in a little bit, I'm going to talk about the rapture. Okay. Also, DNA evidence of pre-flood giant races. And so, once they release all of this information, guys, the world's historical narratives will collapse overnight. History is going to have to be rewritten. The educational system is going to be completely modified. Okay, that's what that means. And so, why is the Earth Alliance choosing this moment? For multiple reasons, right? According to the transmissions from the Andromedans, the Pleiadians, and the Arcturian sources, Earth is entering the revelatory cycle where hidden knowledge must surface so that humanity could move into a multidimensional consciousness type of a reality, interstellar diplomacy, and our role within the Universal Federation. So the disclosure of Tartaria, Hyperborea, Atlantis, and Lemuria is not optional. Okay, it is a cosmological requirement tied to the Ascension positive timeline. Really quick, for those that are interested in eliminating all the metals in your body, the graphene oxide that was given to us in 2020, this is it. The link is always in the description. This is the Galactic solution to completely do a full body detox of every metal, everything that they spray us with, everything that we eat in the foods. And the more you guys use it, the better results you will have. Okay. You're constantly going to be eliminating the nanobots in your body, all the metals. Okay. The link is always in the description. And right now, there is a special for this one. You buy two, you get the third one free. Now, disclaimer, I am not a doctor, but I do believe in this product. It has worked for many people. And so that's the only product that I, offer on my channel. All right. So let's continue here. Putin, Trump, and the White Hats are ensuring that this transition into the space era happens peacefully, first and foremost, and truthfully, before the cabal tries to weaponize it through communist China as it attempts to counterfeit the disclosure, right? China has an agenda. So that's the reason why it's important that the alliance discloses first. Okay. The ancient records contain frequencies, codes, and historical templates that activate human DNA and restore our planetary memory. So when the truth of the Earth's past is released, the truth of Earth's future will follow. And so Ukraine is the doorway, Russia holds the key, and Trump turns the lock. The alliance operations in Ukraine is not merely political. Again, it is historical, archaeological, and cosmic, okay? And so Putin is securing the ancient Eurasian records. That's what he's doing because under the influence of the cabal, they wanted to destroy all of that data. And Putin said, I'm coming for it. Also, Trump is ending NATO's expansion and the cabal's control, thank God. Zelensky's cabal version has been removed. The White Hats have installed an aligned replacement, and the cabal's not happy about that. Who cares, right? Russia's archives will be opened, and the world will discover the truth about Tartaria, Atlantis, Hyperborea, and the civilizations that were erased after the last reset. And so the greatest disclosure in human history is now fast approaching. Not just extraterrestrial life, this is just the beginning. Not just about advanced technologies that the private sector has been withholding for over 80 years, but the true story of humanity itself. Our ancient greatness, our forgotten empires, our lost sciences, and of course, our cosmic origin. Our cosmic origin. Okay. And Ukraine is where the curtain finally is beginning to lift. Beginning to lift. Now, I want to talk about the rapture and the harvest and its connection to the multidimensional timeline split or the timeline conversion that is about to take place. Okay, a lot of people talk about how millions are going to be disappearing. Well, when you guys understand how the multiple Earth realities or theory is real, right, and very soon we're going to have a convergence of an infinite amount of multiple realities into only three timelines. Well, that explains the rapture, right, and the harvest. So, from a higher metaphysical perspective, we could say that from a higher metaphysical perspective, well, okay, how can I say this? The opening of the portals, right? We're talking about the 12 stargates, will separate the timelines that are coexisting right now as I speak and shift millions into higher realities based on their vibration. And this is what many refer to as the rapture, right? Well, across many spiritual traditions, from the Essene mystics, the Hopi prophecies, and even the Vedic yugas to the book of Revelation itself, humanity has been told that a moment will come when two worlds diverge, they divide. A moment when the earth splits into higher and lower timelines, and each soul will gravitate to the frequency that matches their inner vibration. Well, this moment has been called by many names: the rapture, the harvest, the great gathering, the ascension, the separation of worlds, the quantum bifurcation of earth. But all of these terms refer to one universal event, my friends, and that is the opening of the portals that will allow souls to align with higher consciousness in order to transition into the new earth reality. Well, this is not death, right? We're not, if you ascend, you're not going to experience death. This is not a disappearance through destruction. You're not going to die, right? This is a vibrational relocation, the rapture, right? A shift into a higher vibrational timeline. And it is coming, guys. It is coming. So, what the rapture really is really a frequency based transition. Okay, I'm explaining it from a higher perspective here. So, you guys could understand what's going to be happening very, very soon. So, the ancient term rapture never meant punishment, first of all, right? That was organized religion or being taken away arbitrarily or hanging out in the or meeting Christ in the clouds. Okay, that's just uh, many mistranslations of the timeline split, right? Of the bifurcation of Earths. Well, in its original esoteric meaning, it has always referred to as a lifting of consciousness where the physical body follows the vibration of the soul. That's what it is, okay? During the portal opening, which is going to be triggered by the solar flash, and as I speak right now, these CMEs are amplifying like crazy, especially as we get closer to the end of December, right? The EMPs, not the EMPs. Well, I guess they will cause some sort of an EMP, right? If they're strong enough. Well, these CMEs are going to get stronger, my friends. Okay. Eventually, it's going to lead to the bifurcation of worlds. Okay. The rapture, the harvest, the separation of the wicked from the righteous. During the portal opening, the Earth's energetic field, enhanced by cosmic alignments and the collapsing of the quarantine, will split into multiple layers of reality. Souls vibrating at different levels will naturally migrate to the timeline that resonates with their frequency. Well, this is the harvest described. It was described in the Emerald records, the original ones, not the corrupted emerald tablets of Thoth. It was also described in the Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hortak, the Book of Knowledge, who I had a uh, amazing opportunity to actually meet with him a few weeks ago here in his Academy of Future Science here in Sedona. We had a great conversation. Also, it is described in the Law of One series, right? The raw material. They all describe this event. The Hopi Day of Purification talked about it, and many mystical Christian and Sufi texts. They all talked about this. Okay, so the rapture in quantum physics. No, the rapture is quantum physics. It is quantum physics. It's not mythology. Okay, the more you understand quantum physics, uh, the easier it will be for you to understand what's going to be happening when the timeline split takes place. Okay, it is the moment when consciousness determines reality. Again, right now there is um, tons of Earth realities are coexisting from negative to positive, and everything in between. Okay, so the portal is opening. The triggering of the timeline split is happening very, very soon. And when the portal opens, it's actually going to be activated by cosmic forces, right? The great central sun, Earth's crystalline grid, and the alignment of the solar system plexus stargate. Three things happen simultaneously as a result of this. Three things are going to be happening simultaneously. Well, the first thing is going to be there's going to be a massive surge of photonic and tachyonic light entering the Earth's field. And this is why it's important to take this product right now as I speak so that you don't have metals in your body. Because if you have metals in your body, you want to know what's going to happen to you when the ascension takes place? To give you an example, put a little piece of aluminum foil in the microwave and turn it on for a minute. Anyway, so you have to get rid of the metals, okay? Again, the link for the folium is always in the description. So, the first thing, if there's going to be a massive surge of photonic and tachyonic light entering the Earth field, this will in turn raise the vibrational baseline of your cellular structure, making it um, impossible for you to stay in the low density Earth consciousness, allowing you to access and anchor yourself into the new fifth dimensional Earth reality. Okay, that's the first thing that's going to happen. Okay, the second thing that's going to happen is that the planetary timelines will begin to separate when that shift takes place, like two bubbles pulling apart. Okay, each bubble contains a different version of the Earth. So you're going to have one that is going to be a low 3D Earth, the old Earth, that is going to disappear, uh, going into the fourth D Earth, right, which is a better Earth reality for the younger souls. And then you're going to have a fourth D transitional Earth into the space era. Okay, let me retrace back. The old 3D is going to be recycled into a technocratic dystopia, negative timeline. There we go. That's what's going to happen. Okay. That's called the old Earth. The new Earth is going to go either into the fourth D space age civilization, where they're going to release all this information. I mean, all these technologies, right? Catapulting the Earth into the space era. And of course, there's going to be another layer above that known as the 5D Earth, where humans won't be needing external technology. Humans are going to be fully light body operational, fully light body operational, where they're going to be using their light body to travel, telepathy, all that good stuff. Okay. So that's what's going to be happening when this thing takes place, the rapture. And so, of course, for those that go into the fourth D reality Earth, well, they're going to be disappearing from those that go into the technocratic dystopia, which is the old Earth being recycled into a digital matrix, unfortunately. And then those that go to the 50 Earth are going to be disappearing from existence to those that go into the 40 Earth. But this is the thing, guys. Those that go into the 50 Earth are going to have the ability to pop back into the reality of the 40 Earth. All right. That's awesome. Okay. So that's what the rapture is all about. Depending on which timeline you go into, you're going to disappear from the other timelines. Okay. And this is the meaning of millions disappearing when this event takes place. from the perspective of those left behind. Okay. So if you disappear, that means you shifted into the new Earth timeline, whether it's the 4th D positive space age civilization Earth or the 5D original sacred Earth, Garden of Eden. All right. You're going to disappear from those that didn't make the shift, in other words. And so this is what all the ancient texts meant when they were talking about a harvest, okay? The rapture. For instance, in the Bible, we read that two people will be standing in the field, one shall be taken and the other left, okay? Also, the one taken is simply oscillating at a frequency that places them in a higher timeline, right? Your vibration will determine in which timeline you end up in. So, what happens to the millions who disappear? And there's going to be 3 waves, right? In the first wave, the first portion of the millions will enter the new Earth reality, disappearing, right, from those that did not make the shift. The second wave will allow more to enter into the new Earth reality. So more will be disappearing. And then the third will give the rest an opportunity to shift before it closes, before the cycle closes, okay? Or the chance, the cycle, the chance, whatever you want to call it. So what happens to the millions who disappear? Well, from a third dimensional perspective, it will appear as if millions have vanished without explanation. Poof, right? Poof. From a fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional perspective, those individuals have stepped into a higher dimensional Earth reality because they have activated their light body, okay, to a degree, okay? And they have also transitioned into the new Earth timeline for those that disappear. And so those are the souls who fully have aligned with what? Unity consciousness, heart-centered living, compassion, and service to others vibration. And they will awaken in a higher version of Earth. In other words, they are going to reintegrate with their fifth dimensional counterpart, right? Your galactic self, which is already existing in the fifth dimensional Earth. You just have to connect your bodies with it, right? You guys are going to integrate, and your consciousness is going to expand as a result of that. Also, for those that shift into the higher Earth, they will feel lighter. Your body's going to be less denser. You will feel more expanded and more connected to nature and the universe. You will enter societies that are aligned with harmony, telepathy, and cosmic law, right? You will experience no more death. Death won't be a thing anymore in the new fifth dimensional Earth. Why? Because we are going to be living or operating through our light bodies, and our light bodies are going to be sustaining our new physical vessel. And our new physical vessel is going to have a lifespan of thousands and thousands of years. Okay. And at that point, it's just going to be transformation into the next stage, as we evolve to the sixth dimension, 7. We're just going to be transforming. There is no death, transition only from that point on. Okay. So for those that do make the harvest and go into the new Earth reality, your bodies are going to be crystalline 50% for those that go into the fifth dimension, and 50% carbon. So you're still going to be physical, but very lighter. And most good people that are kind-hearted humans who may not yet be fully awakened, all right, they're just generally good people, will be shifting into the fourth density Earth reality, which is still a positive reality, right? Their lifespan is going to increase for a few hundred years. And in this timeline, where they're going to be using Space Force technology, because Space Force is going to be bringing out the advanced technologies to the public in this reality, right? Humanity will enter the space age using external technologies. Contact with extraterrestrial civilizations will begin as well. The Earth Alliance will lead humanity into a golden era, and advanced healing, free energy, and even star travel will once again be available to everyone in the 4th D Earth reality, the 4th D Earth reality. And so the 4th D Earth is going to become the training ground for the next stage of evolution. And in this reality, higher dimensional beings can move in could move to and from densities. Okay, I've already mentioned that. If you do go to the sixth dimensional Earth reality, which is above fourth and fifth, then you're going to have access to five and four. Okay, five and four. If you go to the seventh dimensional Earth reality, some of you guys are going to have that ability, right? If you're oscillating at a very high frequency beyond the fifth and sixth, right? You're vibrating at eighth dimensional Earth reality. Well, you're going to have access to all of them: eight, seven, six, five, and four. Okay, so the higher you integrate, the higher you're able to integrate into, the more realities you're going to have access to. Okay, so there is going to be a defining feature of the split, and those who ascend to the 5D can always descend into the 4D at will. Okay, they're going to be able to visit the transitional, as they call it, transitional space age Earth, right? But they're going to have abilities without the technology. So to those within the fourth dimensional Earth, right, they're going to appear to be like gods and goddesses, right? Angels, right? Just like the way we used to see the Anunnaki. They're going to see us like the Anunnaki, but we're going to be good, right? They're also going to be able to guide their families. A lot of people ask me, "Well, my husband isn't awakened, my kids aren't awakened. Am I going to not see them anymore?" Well, no, you will. You're going to be able to pop into the fourth D Earth and guide your family and be their mentor and still protect them. All right. You're also going to be able to assist starseed children who remained in the fourth D Earth in order to stabilize that reality. And also, as a result of being able to go into the fourth D Earth, because you did pop into the 50, you're going to also be able to go back into the 50 through intentional frequency shifting. Okay, so that's going to be awesome to be able to pop in and out of reality at will. And so um, this mirrors what higher dimensional beings do now when they visit Earth. Think about it. Okay, in order for these higher dimensional beings to even become visible to us, they have to lower their frequency to enter our reality, right? We're going to be doing the same thing, guys, when we go into the fourth D Earth to visit those that didn't go into the fifth D Earth, right? And in order to go back up, they just raise their frequency and they exit that reality and they pop back up. Very simple, guys. So ascended humans will be able to do the same. Okay, there's no difference between us and our galactic counterparts who are already doing that. And this is why no one is lost. Okay, they simply shift realms. Okay, um, Earth will exist in multiple timelines simultaneously, and after the harvest, rapture, whatever you want to call it, Earth will become a multi-dimensional world existing in multiple density bands at the same time. So, for instance, a person who unfortunately stayed in the old Earth that is going to be recycled into the cybernetic digital reality, right? By virtue of integrating with the machine, um, you could you're going to have the ability to also enter into that reality and disrupt the technocratic dystopia. I know. I was like, what? That's going to be kind of cool, right? This is going to bring in the age of heroes when you think about it. And so there's always going to be a declining version where those who are unwilling to evolve will continue their karmic cycles, right? They're going to be recycled into another third dimensional Earth reality, from what I've heard. Okay, but that's only if they haven't mastered, right? If they're still kind of repeating the same patterns over and over and over. So, fourth D Earth reality. This is the version where, again, the space age civilization will begin, okay? And it's already happening with Trump and Putin, right? Which is an indicator that we are shifting into a higher reality or a higher version of the Earth. This is also where the ET disclosure will unfold on a massive scale into the general public, where humanity becomes interplanetary, where advanced technology is released, and the Earth Alliance begins to rebuild society. And this is where most of humanity the younger souls, the earth tyrants, will reside after the split, rapture, harvest, whatever you want to call it. In the 5D earth reality, it's going to be a magical realm. Okay, we're going to be using 50% light body, 50% carbon based. And the fact that we're going to be using 50% crystalline silica will allow us to become telepathic, to exert telekinesis. We're going to be able to instant manifest by the power of our thoughts, whatever we think, we just pop into reality like a replicator. We're going to become cosmic citizens. We're going to have direct communication with the Universal Federation. And those who shift here become into the fifth dimensional Earth, will become part of an advanced future humanity that is going to seed other galaxies. We're all going to be seeders, right? We're going to be seeding other galaxies for those that go into the fifth dimensional reality. And so all three Earths right now, no, when that happens, all three Earths, the fifth dimensional Earth, the fourth dimensional space age Earth, and the fourth lower dimensional technocratic dystopia are going to coexist on different timelines. They're not going to be together anymore. They're going to be separated for about 1,000 years. Okay. And the inhabitants of each will only see the reality that is going to match their vibration. So the term harvest, according to the law of one, means souls are harvested according to their frequency and placed in the density that matches their evolutionary stage, according to the law of one material. Okay. And this is not judgment, it is resonance. Think of it like a tuning fork. Think of it like a tuning fork. When struck, each soul vibrates to its proper note. So the portals simply reveal the path. The rapture is a dimensional shift, not an ending. Okay. The rapture is not something to fear. It is the most profound spiritual graduation humanity has ever known. Millions will shift to the 5D earth, right? There's going to be 3 waves of that. And maybe the first one's going to be December 19th when 3i Atlas is in its closest proximity to the earth. Who knows? Just be ready. Okay. Millions will shift to the 5D earth. Many more will shift into the 4th space age earth, still positive timeline. And some will remain or get recycled in the old timeline to continue learning, which is going to be worse. Okay. That's going to be a technocratic dystopia. So Earth will exist in multiple densities, and the ascended will be able to visit lower worlds to help guide them, or lower versions of Earth. The disappearance of millions is not death or loss, my friends. It is the great migration into the new Earth timeline, which is the next stage of human evolution. And so this is the moment that all the prophets, all the mystics, and even starseed lineages have been preparing for thousands of years. And the portals are once again getting ready to open. Okay. They're once again getting ready to open. Wow. All right. Well, I know that I've been presenting for almost an hour and a half, but due to the fact that I've been gone for a week, I feel like there was so much to share with you guys today. Normally, I broadcast 3 times a week. I only talk for about 40, 50 minutes, and then I open it up for Q&A. But it seems like today I had to talk for almost 90 minutes because of a lot of information that's been coming in. So I do want to welcome everyone who is in the house. Thank you so much, Sally Yu, for your super chat, sister. I appreciate that. You guys are so grateful. You are so welcome. Thank you. I am also very grateful, by the way. Thank you, Jennifer Carter, for your donation. Well received. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Susan K, for your donation. Well received. Thank you. Thank you. All right. It's about that time for Q&A. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. I just wanted to give everyone a shout out, all 2,725 people in the house that are here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me once again. I do want to welcome Jesus the Christ, firstborn of heaven, our eldest brother. Michael the Archangel, overseer and advocate of the 12th cosmic ray of power and overseer of the 12th creation. My books that are available on Amazon. My Conscious Life Expo Book Award. Where is that? Right here. And I won that thanks to you guys, by the way. My Golden Lion and my Silver Wings. My Silver Wings. Yeah, so I guess I could take Q&A. Oh, and again, guys, the link for this stuff, the folium, again, this is the time to really get rid of all those nanoparticulates and metals in your body. You know, parasites only exist when you have a heavy concentration of metals. So by having a metal-free body environment, there is no room for parasites to even begin to exist. And so I wanted to give you guys the link. I have enough tissue. Thank you. I wanted to give you, no, I'm not stuffy right now. I'm good. Thank you. I wanted to give you guys the link in the description. I always pin it in the comments as well. So that way you guys can get your folium. And again, the longer you take it, the better, because you are constantly getting metals in your body. Okay. If you go outside and you breathe in, the chemtrails are causing metals, right? You're breathing in the metals. If you go to the grocery store and buy food, there's mRNA, if you guys know what I mean, and all the meats now. So we're getting all that graphene and all the food that we eat. So yeah, it's important to take folium, guys. For those that could afford it, I know it's a little costly, but if you could afford it, it's worth it. All right. All right. Let's take some Q&A. Let's take some Q&A. I wanted to thank my moderators once again for keeping the high vibe in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Let's see who's got questions for me, because I hope I have some answers. So what happens if you have metal total joint replacements when the solar flash takes place? Oh, that's a good question. Does this mean I'll burn out because I have TMJ bilateral total joints, metal plates in face and arms? You know what? I'm going to have to look into that. I really don't know how to answer that question right now. That is a very good question. So I don't know how to answer that question. I went to California for about 5 days. That's where I was the last 5 days. People are asking me where I've been for the last few days. And again, for all my new subscribers, I get my information mainly from Commander Valiant Thor. I also connect with the Jupiter Command, and I'm constantly connecting with my galactic avatars. So a lot of this information comes from transmissions, okay, from transmissions. And then on top of that, I also do a lot of research. I like to see what's happening. I like to learn about what's happening from behind the scenes. So that's how I get a lot of my information, but mainly through transmissions. Right? I don't channel. Okay, I want to point that out. I don't channel. I receive transmissions. What's the difference between the transmission and channeling? Very good question. Well, when you get transmissions, it's like a telepathic communication between you and the galactic avatar, right? I communicate with my galactic avatars on every level of reality. When you receive channeling information, you're opening up, allowing entities to come into your field, into your body. And that could sometimes be dangerous. All right. So channeling, I don't channel. I know there's many people out there in this community that channel, but I just don't channel because you could open yourself up for attacks, or you could open yourself up to negative entities that are trying to appear as beings of light. Okay, so that's why I don't channel. So I receive transmissions, direct, you could say telepathic communications from galactic avatars or galactic commanders. Excuse me. Will we be using crystals more the way Atlantis did? Yeah, I believe so. All of those technologies are going to be restored back to the Earth. But we're going to be using more than just crystal technology, guys. We're going to be using um, all kinds of devices, replicators, um, holographic regenerators. Um, I mean, the list goes on. There's just, I think there was over what, 60,000 patents, 16,000 patents that they've been keeping from us based on Tesla technology. I do have a super chat from Phoenix Rising. What's up, sister? Thank you for being here. Is the third secret of Fatima happening now? Um, I'm not too sure about I've heard of the Fatima prophecies, but I don't really know much about it, so I don't really know how to answer that. Faith over fear. Yes, thank you for that reminder. Is there a way you can tell what frequency you vibrate at? Because I vibrate really hard and it intensifies more during your broadcast. Wow, thank you. Yeah, there is multiple ways of identifying your vibration. You could do it intuitively. There are actual gadgets that read your frequency as well. But there are multiple ways, and one of the ways is you could always ask your higher self at which frequency you're in. For those that are really in tune with their higher self. So, yeah, there are multiple ways. Will we be communicating via language in 5D, or is it a resonance instead? Telepathy. 5D is telepathy. Now, you will be able to formulate words and communicate if you want, but you won't need to because you'll have full telepathy. Now, for those who go into the fourth D Earth reality, yes, you will be still communicating with words. You won't be you won't have telepathy, in other words. How do you speak to your higher self? Through meditation, by going within. And again, one of the things that I offer in my Ascension courses is techniques and knowledge as to how to do that, how to become multidimensional, how to communicate with your other selves that exist on higher levels of reality that have the knowledge. Um, Ascension 2.0 and 3.0 are really advanced, but I always suggest that you guys always start with the basics. And yes, my classes for January are up for grab. They fill up pretty fast. I know 3.0, within 3 days, it's booked. So if you guys have not had a chance to take my courses, go to my website, or cosmicorigin.com, and secure your spot for January 3rd, I think 3rd and 4th. That's when those classes begin. What do you think about Dr. Zoo York? Never heard of him. Was the soul trap part of our soul contract? Yes, I do remember that question from last time. And the answer to that is yes, we did volunteer to come into this enclosed system that was part of the trap in order to break it from within, in order to break the matrix from within. So that was part of our soul contract. A lot of us volunteered to come into this limited reality for that very reason. So that is correct, yes. Isis, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, "Hi, brother, welcome back. Can you talk more about the Orion 8 and who are they? Thank you." Orion 8, I'm going to have to look into that. I've never heard of the Orion 8. Actually, I have, but I don't really know much details. They are part of the intergalactic infrastructure, mainly associated with the light councils of Mintaka, Analim, and the higher civilizations that are geared towards service to others, not service to self. So the Orion 8 are actually good. But as far as like knowing the details, I really don't know much about that. All these amazing questions. I guess I should just answer them as they come, but some questions are, I think some questions are a little bit more important to answer than others. Is Archangel Michael and Metatron part of the fallen ones? No, not at all. Yeah, I don't know who is I guess spreading that misinformation, but Michael has always served the light. Okay, I think yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Okay, so there is a point where Ashayana Dean became infiltrated and started saying that Michael was fallen and Metatron was fallen. But remember, there are two Metatrons. There is the original Metatron, right, which is an ancient of days. He comes from the central universe. And then there's the Omega Metatron, which was a name that was adopted by the Ahriman, right, the ancient AI that wanted to call himself Omega Metatron. So you have to distinguish between the two Metatrons. But there is an original Metatron of the light. So I disagree with that. I believe that Michael the Archangel has never fallen, has never defected from the light. And I also believe that the original Metatron is good. I have another question from James Staple. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Good day ish from our Andromedan mates in Oz. Two of us saw our first UFO 2 weeks ago in Cairns, Queensland, Australia. Large orange brown orb, then large white flash and gone after about a minute. Wow. Well, were you able to capture it? Were you able to take a picture or film it on your iPhone? That's pretty cool, man. Thank you for sharing that, James. That means you must be applying the techniques that I taught you in those classes, right? You're raising your frequency. You're starting to have more interactions. That's what that means, James. I do remember you from class, by the way. And again, guys, part of taking courses with me is that you get to interact with me in real time. It's like being on a Zoom call with me. So it's like we interact, we talk. It's not just me teaching the class and teaching you techniques. I get to know more about you. It's very interactive. It's just a fun place, you know. So yeah, I just want to let you guys know that you know, it's always an honor to meet a lot of the new Galactic Jedis. How do you know if you're going to 5D? This is a question from Zeno. Well, you know, it's your vibration will determine your reality. Okay. So if you're doing the work, if you're staying in a high vibration, you're eating right, right? You're making sure you don't have metals in your body. You're loving yourself. You're treating yourself kind. You're meditating. You're praying. If you have that constant connection to source, then chances are you're going to the 5D Earth. Okay. So, and most importantly, clearing the trauma, doing the inner healing. You have to do the inner healing. Again, part of my Ascension 2.0 classes, I teach you guys how to heal past trauma so that you guys could be fully ready and not have any emotional baggages when the shift takes place. So many good questions. Thank you so much, Chris, oh, you changed your name. It says Fold Fira. I used to know you by Chris Sufo, I think. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, "Hi Ishmael and Monica. YouTube trans tips a Komarov. The Lion is Born extended. Oh, you're giving us um, you're telling us to listen to The Lion is Born extended on YouTube. Okay, I'll check it out. My intention as well. A Peter's extended. Never again. Ruslan. Okay, I'll check it out. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of this, and then I'm going to go on YouTube and check out these songs. Thank you for sharing those with us, Chris. Yeah, I don't know why all of your names have changed on YouTube all of a sudden, and then there's like numbers after that. So I don't know if that's a YouTube thing, but I also have a super chat from NatureBoy000. He says, "Hey Ishmael, what if someone resonates with a different universe galactic history, but they are in this universe?" Well, there are different galactic histories and depending on which universe we are referring to, right? We have the Omega universe, we have the Alpha, the Beta, the Gamma, the Delta, and everything in between, and then different variations of that. So, if you resonate with a different galactic history, then chances are is that you are from that universe. Okay, you are from a different alternative universe. Good question. Thank you so much. Is it Keenan Crone for that super chat? Do you have any info on Baha'i religion, Baha'i, and what its intention was? I do not. I don't. I've never heard of that religion before. Sorry, I don't know anything about that religion. This is a good question. What will happen first, the first solar flash or the prosperity packets? I think they're going to happen simultaneously. I think that the first flash will trigger the prosperity packages, the redistribution of the world's wealth, and again, a lot of that uh, is associated with the disclosure, right? The releasing of the true history of the Earth, Tartaria, Atlantis, and other civilizations, the different resets, the technologies, the alien alliances. Um, all of that stuff is going to converge around the same time. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're going to be reaching what is known as critical mass effect, right? The Great Awakening. So it's heading into that direction. Thanks, Ishmael, for another great live event in Sedona. Oh, you guys are so welcome. You guys are so welcome. Um, are the white orbs from Andromeda? Well, Andromeda is dimension 789. I would say they could be. They could be from Andromeda, but also white orbs represent the pure light from the highest levels of reality, which is dimension 10, 11, and 12, right? Where we become pure plasma beings. So they could also represent entities from the 10th, 11th, or 12th dimension, the white orbs. I do have a mailing address for those that want to mail me anything. My mailing address is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B. The box number is 3015 in Sedona, Arizona, 86336. That's my mailing address for those that want to mail me anything. And I do appreciate the cards. I do appreciate, the help. So thank you guys so much for that. We missed you. Well, I missed you guys too. I know it's been what, a week since I've been live, so I'm used to seeing you guys at least every other night or so. So yeah, I've but it also gave me time to relax and not work on presentations again. Um, before I go live, it takes me 3 to 4 hours, or sometimes even 5 hours, to put a presentation together, and so there's a lot of work that goes behind the presentations. And so it gave me an opportunity to just kind of rest, because I was like, on top of writing another book, on top of doing other work, I have to, every time I go live, I have to spend hours in putting the presentation together. So after a while, it's a lot of work. It's not that easy. Excuse me. It's not that easy to go live every other day, guys, because every other day I have to have content, new information. But I do it. I do it because I care about this community. I do it because I believe in the disclosure. And most importantly, I do it because I want as many people as possible to really understand what's happening on a multidimensional level, from a cosmic perspective, not just from a Y hat versus cabal perspective. All right, I do have another super chat from Deborah Nodelman. Thanks so much. She says, I have paid $100 for 2 separate classics, Ascension 3, your first class, and your current live, sent 3 emails, no response. You guys have to understand, that's why for now on, I want to do the classes for only 2 weekends instead of 4 consecutive weekends. Because for those that, for whatever reason, miss a class, you know how hard it is for me to trace your email and then give you the links for the next month. I mean, I try to do my best with what I'm giving, but sometimes I get so many evil emails that your email just gets pushed down, all the way down. And it's like I have to scroll through all these emails to find your email. So, Deborah, I would say that I would email me right now on Project Restoration Science, so I could give you the link for Ascension 3.0 tomorrow. That class begins tomorrow. And yeah, make sure you also send the receipt that you paid for that class, and I'll be gladly to give you the link. But this is the reason why I'm changing my classes around. Instead of 1 hour a week for 4 consecutive weeks, it's only going to be 2 weekends, either Saturday or Sunday, for 2 hours, and that's it. So that way nobody's missing classes, because that, again, when I have to find the email and send everybody links to do a makeup, it's putting more work on me than the work that I already have to do. And sometimes it's like I work 10 hours a day. I barely get my rest because I have all this extra work to do, So that's why I'm changing my classes to 2 hours, 2 hours for 2 consecutive weekends, and that's it. Okay. So that way nobody misses classes. I know, because sometimes when you're expected to be in class for the next 4 weeks for an hour a weekend, that's time consuming, right? So it's best to just do 2 hours for 2 weekends only for each class, same price. You guys are still going to get the same information, but in just 2 weekends instead of 4. And that way nobody misses class and nobody has to do retakes or makeups. Unless, of course, there's an emergency. Nathan Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. Will the medbeds be able to fix your eyesight? Well, I think my activation into my multidimensionality will fix my eyesight. I don't think the medbeds are going to do anything for me. I think that I am actually looking forward to transforming into my, who I'm supposed to bloom into, whoever I am. And that's going to give me perfect vision. It's going to age regress me to looking 30 again. And I can't wait to see what abilities I'm going to have. So Sarah Sago says, thank you for your hard work. You are so welcome. Yeah, so for now on, I'm going to be doing classes starting in January for only 2 weekends. Okay, 2 hours each class. That's it. So you're getting 4 hours for the same price, but just in 2 weekends instead of 4 consecutive weekends. Yeah, in the fifth dimensional and above reality, med beds are going to be useless. You know, when you're able to heal yourself through your light body activation, why need a med bed? Makes no sense. So yeah, that is true. Will our pets ascend with us? Absolutely. Yep, yep, yep. Absolutely. What if you work weekends? Oh, um, if you work weekends, yeah, well, yeah, the reason I like to teach my classes on the weekends is because the majority of people have weekends off. Okay, that's why I don't do them on the weekdays because of that. But if you work on the weekends, then I don't know what to say. I guess you can't take my courses. But yeah, that's the only reason why I do it on the weekends because that's when most people are off. Yes, that's true. The med bits are only going to pertain to the fourth density Earth. That is correct. Thank you for that reminder. Um, Venom, the Light Warrior says, I love your video. I watch it every time you're on, but I don't know if I did the work. I feel like I did nothing and feel calm about it. And I think I'm going to 5D, but I am thinking I'm going to 4D. Well, I'll tell you what, Zeno. If you volunteered, if you said let's just say that you volunteer from a higher dimension, you're a starseed. Um, the fact that you volunteered, your mere presence, right? You're allowing the Earth to borrow your presence down here, your frequency, which is helping the Earth, um, is telling me that you're going to be reintegrating back to where you came from. So if you volunteer from the fifth dimension, all you're going to do is reintegrate back to that. Okay. If you volunteer from the sixth dimension, you're going to be reintegrating back to that. You guys get what I'm saying, right? So, but again, just the fact that you are existing down here, right? We came to this matrix to kind of blow it up from within. That's how we infiltrate lower realities. Tells me that you are definitely ascending to the fifth or higher. Ishmael, thank you for your time and bringing your knowledge. You are very much appreciated. You are so welcome. But let me just remind you guys that this is not my knowledge, right? All knowledge belongs to God, the one infinite creator. I am just borrowing tadbits of God's knowledge. That's it. So all credit goes to God. I'm just a vessel, just like all of you guys are. And my gift is one of accessing off-world records. That's what my gift is. So that's what I'm good at, and that's why I do what I do. But again, all credit goes to God. God is the only one that has access to all knowing. Right? Compared to God, I know nothing. I am ignorant, and this is the reason why I keep my cup empty. Because when I keep my cup empty, I'm able to gather more information. And I think we're all in this together, right? Right? The more you know, the more you want to learn, right? The more I know, the more I want to teach so that I could learn some more to continue teaching. If that makes any sense. What is going to happen to the kids when the rapture comes? Well, for the most part, all kids up to the age of 8 are going to be going for a free ride because they haven't yet reached the age of accountability. It's once they turn 9, 10, and 11, that's when they reach the age of accountability, right? They know right from wrong. So they're able to make choices, and based on their choices, that will determine if they, for the most part, they will go to the fourth D Earth, unless, of course, they're volunteers. And from what I hear is a lot of these kids that are coming in nowadays are crystalline children, they're golden children. I mean, they're beyond indigos. So yes, by virtue of that, they will be ascending. But yeah, for the most part, most kids are going to be ascending. Thank you for the super chat from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much. So you said that when we are 5D and so on, we can heal others. Can we make other people younger like a medbed? Hmm? Uh, that is up to you. But if you make other people younger, you're going to be somehow tied into them, to their karma. So, you have to let them do their own work. For instance, if you come from the fifth dimension into the fourth dimension, it's okay to protect the Earth Terrans from the cyborgs, right? Because that's going to be a coexisting reality with the AI timeline. But as far as like regenerating them, no, you can't really do that, because then you're just incurring some sort of you're becoming entangled with their karma. So I don't know if you want to do that. Good question, though. But as far as healing them, protecting them, uh, then yes, you can do that, of course. Right? That is where the age of the superheroes will exist, in the middle timeline, the neutral timeline. And who are going to be the superheroes? Those that are coming in from the fifth dimension and above. Ishmael, will we age in the 5D? No, not at all. Not at all. Again, once we reach the 5D, there is no death. There is only transition. That's it. Transformation, metamorphosis, right? That's it, right? Death only exists in the 3D by virtue of having a body of flesh and blood. And technically, death is an illusion because your soul doesn't die. It's just your body, right? Remember, there are two types of deaths. There's physical death, which is what everyone experiences because the earth goes from avatar to avatar. And then there's this thing called spiritual death. Now, you don't want to experience spiritual death because spiritual death means that you will be erased out of existence. And for the dark side, for those that do not join or those that do not let go of their darkness, right, to become part of the light, well, at the end of every cycle, they undergo spiritual death. So at the end of the millennium, right, those that sided with the AI god Enki and the negative timeline by choice are going to undergo spiritual death. In other words, their soul essence is going to be extinguished as if they never existed. That's called spiritual death. And I feel sorry for the dark side that don't want to let go of the darkness, right? They just don't want to let go of and join the light. They will be undergoing spiritual death. I do have another super chat from Alice Hartman. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. They do help a lot. Thank you. Well, will you please list signs that someone is one of the 100 out of the entire Earth population superhumans? You must be paying attention to all my live streams. The ones with the 200 creator God's DNA. Thank you. Some of the signs is that you were heavily targeted as a kid. Another indicator that you are one of the 100 is that life has always been hard for you, right? People have always, NPCs, people from the Matrix have always been put in your path to make things hard for you because they're scared of your power. Okay, that is the biggest indicator. Bullied in school, not accepted in school because they are jealous. They know that there's something different about you. You're always targeted, okay? But at the same time, even though you're always targeted, you also have special protection. So you kind of feel like you're in this tug of war, those are all signs that you're part of the 100. Good question. Wow, I've been broadcasting for almost 2 hours. I'm going to take two more questions, guys. Two more questions. Yes, I decided to work overtime today because I took a week off and I had all this intel that I wanted to share with you guys. And so instead of doing two lives, I decided to just drop all the intel in one live. So I'll answer maybe two more questions and then I'll come back Monday night for a Y hat update. I'm sure there's going to be more coming in, and there is more coming in. Actually, there was more intel, but I just couldn't squeeze it in tonight because of the fact that I've already shared enough. But thank you guys so much for your patience. So, what does fifth dimensional look like in your honest opinion? Um, it's beautiful. It's magical. It's pure. There are fairies. Their elementals are alive. You're constantly communicating with other dimensional beings. The water's clean. The food is pure. I mean, I would say honestly, if you could fathom what the Garden of Eden looked like before the fall, that's how the new earth is going to look like. Think about it. The Garden of Eden before the fall, all right? If you guys could fathom what that was, that's exactly what the new earth or the fifth dimensional earth is going to look like. All right, next question. Final question before I end the live. Yes, in 5D, we are all perfect. There is no obesity. There's no pimples. I happen to have one pimple right here. I don't know where my pimple is. Maybe it's going away, but there's no deformity. There's no mental illness. Everyone's perfect, healthy, wealthy, and abundant. Okay, just to give you a glimpse of what 5D reality is all about. Thank you so much, Stephen Peter, for your donation. Well received. Thank you. Thank you. Chantel just emailed me. She says, missed Ascension 3.0. All right, Chantel, now that your email is at the top, I could send you the link for tomorrow. So again, my classes are going to be changing as of January. Instead of 4 consecutive weeks for 1 hour, we're going to do only 2 weekends for 2 hours. Still the same amount of material for the same price. Where am I? Okay, one more question. See, which question should I pick? There's so many questions. Only 47 spots left for 3.0. Oh, wow. The 3.0 just went up like 4 hours ago, and there's only 47 spots left. Okay, so that 3.0 feels quick. It's probably going to be fully booked by tomorrow, I think. That is my latest class, taking Ascension to the next level. Let's see. Question. How long will 3i Atlas be in Earth's orbit before returning to where it came? I heard that it's going to be in Earth's orbit past December. And a lot of that has to do with the deadline of, again, disclosing the truth to the surface population by March of 2026. Okay. So yeah, it's going to be hanging out for a few more months after December. It ain't going nowhere, guys. 3i Atlas is here for quite some time. All right. Well, I hope you guys all had a beautiful evening with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with as many people as possible. It helps my channel grow. Don't forget to get your folium. The link is always in the description. Get those metals out. All right. We're constantly breathing them in, eating them every day. So the more you do it, if you guys do folium every day, it's even better because everything you eat will come out as long as you're doing folium. And don't forget to take my courses in January. They start on the 3rd and 4th for only 2 consecutive weekends now, right? 2 hours a course. That's it. And other than that, I will see you guys Monday, which is in 2 nights, for an Earth Alliance Y-Hat report. May the God Force be with you all, always. Don't forget to pray. Don't forget to meditate. And I'll see you guys soon.